Hey, it's Chelsea. Thank you so much for being here. In this video, we are taking a look at the Aries new moon eclipse and looking a couple months into the future as well, because this is really like this domino that's going to be bringing with it a whole shift of energy. We're moving into a completely different phase with this new moon eclipse, and perhaps many of us have even been feeling this big shift happening for a good few days or like weeks now at this point. So, this eclipse is exact Thursday, April 20th at 12:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to adjust accordingly for your own time zone. To understand how this eclipse is going to be playing out in your life, take a look at your chart and locate 29 degrees and 50 minutes of Aries. Pay attention to any planets or placements you may have on, around, or interacting with that degree. If you're interested in booking a personal reading with me to understand how this transit and the big ones that are going to follow are going to be playing out in your life, you can find my information for booking in the links below. So, this eclipse, like I said, it's bringing with it a big change of energy. We've been in a period since January, a very unusual period of 3 months, all planets direct. Things have been moving very rapidly. And so it's really interesting that this Aries new moon, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, it's the initiator, it gets things going, it's that spark of life. It's kind of going to be making us slow down a little bit. So the day following on the 21st is when Mercury is going to be stationing retrograde in the sign of Taurus. So Mercury is going to be going from 15 degrees of Taurus back to 5 degrees of Taurus. And this is going to be lasting until May 14th. And so this is going to be having us slow down a bit. We're going to be having to like reassess, reevaluate, reconfigure. And ultimately, with Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius square this new moon, this is a big energy of regeneration. This is, Pluto at 0 degrees. So zero, like the 0 point, initiating, starting, beginning new things. But then with the eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries, it's like, and especially like Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, but then the final degrees, the final minutes, it's like kind of like wrapping things up. And so, really, a big energy also that we have been working with for the last little while is like an energy of quality control. We want to be sure that the things that we have in our lives, like we want to really be evaluating them. And that's the thing too with this Mercury retrograde in Taurus. Taurus is our values, it's our resources. And so we want to be understanding, even like our support systems and things like that. We want to be understanding if there are things in our lives that just the quality isn't matching the energy that we want to be emanating, or like if it's an unbalanced energy exchange, like these are things that we are going to want to be paying attention to now, because as time moves on in the months, like next month and into June, especially with Venus retrograde in Leo, we're going to want to be just so conscious and so aware and really paying attention to the things that are taking up space in our lives, and being sure that certain things that are taking up space in our lives, whether it's people, where we live, our home, our environment, the way that we're making money, we want to be making sure that we have high value things in our lives. Because when in Leo, Venus retrograde in Leo, it is July 22nd to September 3rd. And I know that seems like a long way away, but really we want to be preparing our energy, preparing ourselves now, so that once we get to Venus retrograde, because that's going to really be challenging our values, what we care for so deeply in our life, like what we love, what we're passionate about. Um, it's we just want to be preparing now. So especially because we're just moving into a time like things are going to be getting very unstable. Okay, so let's kind of rewind a little bit. So, as I mentioned, Pluto is square this eclipse. So it's a tense aspect. It's creating friction. It's initiating change, initiating transformation. And this is where that energy of regeneration is coming from. So when we look at Aries, Aries is the I am. It has a big focus on the self as well as the ego. And so it's like there is this big transformation that is happening within us at a deep cellular level. Pluto in Aquarius, that is like the energetics of things. That is the energy flowing around us in the ethers, all of these like source code type energies that we're not even able to see. It's like the coding of our reality. And so it's like things are transforming at that minuscule of a level. And it's going to really start to be rippling out as time unfolds. But so Pluto, and this is why this is going to be a longer lasting energy that's really telling a whole bigger story. This is like the beginning of a story right now that's unfolding. Is that so Pluto's going to be square this eclipse, not that far away, less than a full degree away. So that's pretty close. We're really going to be feeling it. And Pluto will show us the hidden truths of things. It's going to dig things up from the depths. A lot of truths are going to be getting revealed. So definitely pay attention. Also, if you have any fixed placements in your chart around, especially 0 degrees up to like 1.5 or maybe 2 degrees of the fixed signs being Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. And then also pay attention if you have any cardinal placements at the final degrees. So again, I'd mentioned, 29 degrees of Aries, I would say even going back to 28, possibly 27. And then the other cardinal signs being Capricorn, Libra, and Cancer. Pay attention if you have any placements at the end of those degrees as well, because if you do, we're going to be feeling this activation that's going to be happening for the next several months and even into the next couple of years because of Pluto. And so this transformation is going to be happening on a very personal level. I mean, everyone's going to be feeling it, but especially if you have placements in those areas of your chart, there is this big transformation that's taking place. And so Pluto is not only square this eclipse, but Pluto and the nodes are moving closer and closer together in a square. So at the time of this eclipse, we're going to have Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, 0 degrees in 20 minutes. And then we're going to have the North Node at 4 degrees and 1 minute of Taurus, the South Node being at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So Pluto and the nodes are moving closer and closer into a T-square with each other. And so this is really interesting to me because, all right, so in 2022, we had Saturn that was square the nodes. When Saturn was in Aquarius, it was square the nodes. And this was really kind of like shaking up timelines. It was breaking down the foundations and our structures of our lives. Like we thought things were going to be happening one way. We thought certain foundations and structures were stable and secure in our lives. And a lot of things were breaking down. And it was like we were stripped away of just all of this extra fluff. And Saturn was really taking us to the heart of the matter, like straight to the point. But so now we're in a period of time where we're going to have Pluto square the nodes. And so that's going to be bringing a big transformation, a big breaking down. And there's also going to be a big focus on wealth and control with Pluto in this aspect, this tense aspect with the nodes. But so kind of going back to this longer term energy. So as I mentioned, I mean, Pluto in the nodes, it's like a 4 degree distance right now from an exact square. So we're not quite in it yet, but we're moving towards it. And this eclipse is definitely initiating some bigger energies that's happening within that. But so this aspect is going to be exact. Let's see. Sorry, I have a chart pulled up. When is it? It's going to be exact July 28th. And that's going to be at 28 degrees and 58 minutes of Pluto will be at Capricorn. The South Node will be in Libra and the North Node will be in Aries. So it's like from now until the end of July, this energy is going to be getting tighter and tighter and tighter and more intense, and things are going to be breaking down, collapsing. And this is kind of going back to the energy of quality control. We want to be really aware and really paying attention to the things that are taking up space in our lives, because these are things that if their energy, like if it's not an equal energy exchange, if our energy isn't being reciprocated, or if we're just having these energy exchanges that don't feel good, but for whatever reason we've just found ourselves within them for whatever reason, for comfort likely, um we can use these things, like we can eliminate them from our lives, but in a way that will it's regenerative. We're able to use this energy and transform it into something that is serving us better, and that is ultimately contributing to our power, because that's going to be a really big focus of this period of time that we're entering into, beginning with this eclipse. With Aries, as I mentioned, it's like this power with this Pluto square, like power just being triggered from the depths, hidden power that we didn't even realize was there. And then Pluto having to do with everything that lies beneath the surface. That is all of the riches, all of the minerals that are existing beneath our earth soil. So that is like diamonds. It's like all of the things that they use to make our phones and power the world around us. And so this is the kind of energy that we're going to be pulling from beneath ourselves right now. But it's going to be uncomfortable to tap into this big source of power. It doesn't feel good. And possibly at times it's going to be surfacing in the form of anger, frustration, shame, guilt. All of these heavier emotions are going to be rising to the surface so that we can face them, transmute them, and have them power our energy, be a source of vitality in our lives. Because it's like, as we're clearing out, finalizing all of these old cycles, we're going to be moving into new ones. And we don't want to be moving into these new cycles, these new beginnings, these fresh new starts in our lives. Like, we don't want to be moving into that energy with our old baggage, with our old trauma, with things in our lives that are actually weighing us down and that are not contributing to where it is that we ultimately see ourselves going to, like where it is that we want to be in our lives. And so this is also going to be a very instinctual period of time that we're moving into. Aries is very instinctual. It's like that initial reaction. And so right now we really want to be listening to ourselves, trusting ourselves, and taking action in the way that we're feeling led. Um, and yeah, really trusting our instincts. So with this new moon, the ruler of this new moon, Mars, is going to be square Chiron. So we've got Mars at 13 degrees of Cancer, and Chiron is at 16 degrees of Aries. And this is going to be a longer lasting energy because Mars is going to be square Chiron. Let's see. I mean, it's going to be, I don't know, a good few weeks or so. Um, and then, so Mars is going to be square Chiron. And so that's going to be like tension. I mean, again, a very instinctual energy, understanding intuitively what we need to remove from our lives. And then Cancer, that's like our ancestors, that's our DNA, like not our DNA, but like the past, like all of the things from the past that have contributed to where we are now. And so this is a time when, like, again, a lot of stuff is going to be surfacing from beneath us and from the past. And it's like, as we're going through our day-to-day lives, we're going to be facing, and we already are, like, this is an energy that I've been feeling very intensely for the last couple weeks, is like, as I'm moving through my day-to-day, I am being faced with, and I'm seeing this happen with people around me, being faced with situations that are opportunities to clear karma from the past, that are opportunities to move out of old cycles, so that we can be moving into new new cycles, new patterns, just ultimately new adventures and new experiences. And so how is it that we're able to clear this old karma from our past through our day-to-day experiences? It's through the decisions that we make when we're having certain interactions or encounters with people. If, again, like going back to trusting our instincts and being led, like allowing our instincts, allowing our heart to guide us. And when we need to set clear boundaries and stable and secure boundaries, to set them. And this is also going into the energy of quality control. We want to be so picky right now with what we are allowing to consume our energy, or what we're giving our energy to. We do not want to be wasting our time right now. We really want to be investing into our future and our power. Again, this is a very regenerative and transformational period of time that we're entering into, that we've already entered into. And there is going to be a lot of change happening. And especially, again, if you have planets or placements in your chart in the end degrees of the cardinal signs and the beginning degrees of the fixed signs. This is also, so a month after this eclipse that we have on April 20th, we have a really big conversation that's happening in the planets. And so what we're going to have is a fixed cross between Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, that is at this point going to be retrograde, because Pluto stations retrograde in May 1st. And so we're going to talk about that more in a minute too, because there's a lot to unpack with that as well. But so Pluto's going to be at 0 degrees of Aquarius, directly opposing Pluto at 0 degrees of Leo. We're going to have Mars. And then at this point, we're going to have the North and the South nodes at 3 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio. The fixed signs, they are the stabilizers of the zodiac. They stabilize energy, they ground energy, and they can be, out of the fixed, cardinal, and mutable signs, the fixed signs are the most reluctant to change. And so often they will not change unless things just get so uncomfortable and they are forced to. So again, this aspect is going to be exact May 20th. And this is going to really, I mean, a lot of us could be faced with like choice points, crossroad type situations in our lives. We could be making decisions right now that are setting us up on completely new trajectories in our lives. And also, I mean, this is a really powerful time to be clearing karma, to be cutting things off, because Mars is a very sharp energy. It cuts things. And so this is a really powerful chart. And so it's like we go from eclipse season right into this. And Mars and Pluto, they're both the rulers of the upcoming eclipse that's going to be May 5th, the Scorpio eclipse. And so it's like, it's really something about this is making me feel like something, because it's like we've got a lot of South Node energy with the rulers of the South Nodes in an opposition. And then we got the South Node included in this conversation. It's like, and then on top of that, Jupiter is going to be at 0 degrees and in this square. And so Jupiter just amplifying all of this conversation. And Jupiter is going to be conjunct the North Node. And so it's like illuminating. Jupiter is such a bright planet. It's one of the brightest planets in the sky. And so it's like, it's going to be illuminating our true north, the north node, where we want to be, what we want to be moving towards, as we're going to have like these big south node energies that just might seem so alluring. Like south node in Scorpio is like the murky waters, like just the swamp. It's heavy. It's filled with addictions and like possessiveness, obsession, um and really like karma that we want to be moving away from. And so this can be an opportunity to really have some powerful transformations happening within ourselves at a deep cellular level that can really set us up on completely new trajectories. But it's so important during this time to be aware of our cycles and patterns and what we want to be moving away from, and really listen to that. Um, because again, this is such a powerful time of transformation, but it can also like break. This could be a really, I mean, it's kind of like breakdowns to breakthroughs. Like this could be a big time of just intensity for a lot of people, and I would also say the world as a whole. um that's This is a really intense chart, and yeah, just happening so close to these eclipses. And yeah, so that's going to be a big energy. So just pay attention to that. And so within all of these different charts and this big energy of transformation and transmutation, we really want to be aware of the energy that we store in our body and help it in our energy field and assisting our body in releasing it. So, I mean, with these big Mars activations and Mars influences, Aries influences, we can be transmuting energy through like activity, through exercise. We just want to be like moving the body. But then we're also going to be having, a lot of Taurus energy shortly after this eclipse, like hours after. We're going to be having a lot of planets in the sign of Taurus joining Uranus, the asteroid Juno. Mercury is going to be there, the North Node, Vesta, the Sun and the Moon. So we're going to have a lot of Taurus energy. And so this is going to be helping us. It's like there's so much like wobbly kind of stuff going on right now. And so we really want to be assisting the earth energy to just helping us with grounding and stabilizing all of these big activations that are coming through. So definitely spending time in nature is so important. If you feel like your energy is just wonky, spend time in nature and get some exercise, like help your body with moving this energy out of the energy field, of transmuting it, and really just ultimately clearing the energy field. And then the earth can assist us in doing that too. That's why we want to be working with the earth as we're going through these shifts, because the earth is going to be helping us ground and stabilize all of this energy. um, but yeah, so I mean, this eclipse is really going to be triggering a lot of big shifts of energy, because it's like the eclipse happens the day after that, Mercury stations retrograde. And then less than 2 weeks after that, Pluto stations retrograde, which isn't a crazy thing because Pluto stations retrograde Pluto's retrograde like half of the time, like 6 months out of the year. And so that's not unusual. But what is that it's going to be extending the duration of Pluto square the nodes. And so, again, that's going to be just like breaking down timelines, transforming things. And especially because it's going back and forth from Aquarius to Capricorn. And so that's where we're going to be seeing like all of these systems within our lives, individually and collectively, breaking down. And yeah, and it's like we're going to be seeing power within ourselves shifting, power within our society shifting. And that's another thing to really pay attention to right now is power. What is it called? Like power plays, power. Um, what is it called? Like when people are kind of just like trying to hold power over people, like power struggles. Really be paying attention to that right now. And again, this is kind of all going into what I had mentioned about quality control and having strong boundaries and protecting our energy. this is a really important time to be protecting our energy and just being aware of our energy, being aware of any impurities that we might have within our energy field so that we can be transmuting it and assisting this energy, like in allowing it to regenerate our entire being so that we are ultimately able to emanate more of our life force and our vitality. And then from there, it's going to be easier for us to just move into the direction of the way that we want to be living in our lives. And so this Mercury retrograde that's going to be lasting for a few weeks in the sign of Taurus, this is really going to assist us in slowing down so that we can just have a good look around at our life, at the things that we have accumulated. And again, quality control. What can we use in our lives that we don't want anymore? Like, what can we burn so that we can allow that to be powerful nutrients in the life that it is we want to be moving towards? So, again, being aware if there's anything in your life that you need to clear out, people, places, or things. If it's not serving, you'll know because your instincts will guide you, your heart will show you. And so, also with this eclipse, as I had mentioned, the ruler of this eclipse, Mars, is going to be square Chiron. And so, I mean, this can be bringing up a lot of insecurities. We can be learning a lot of things about ourselves that ultimately prevent us in connecting with people. And I mean, it's like our vulnerabilities can really be powerful tools right now. It can help us in connecting with people. It can help us in going deeper within ourselves to find, to uncover all of those hidden treasures, like the diamonds, like with Pluto, it's just going to be making things come up to the surface anyway. And so we can really be utilizing these vulnerabilities that we have as tools to help us with regenerating and to assist us in moving forward, as opposed to having them be insecurities that hold us back, that prevent us from connecting with others, that prevent us from taking risks, from taking chances. And so, also, I really want to say too that anything you feel like you have been wanting to do, um, but just haven't, now is the time. Start it, do it, go after it. It doesn't matter that Mercury is going to be retrograde and things. I mean, I really see this Mercury retrograde. I have Mercury retrograde in my chart though, anyway. So I kind of work with Mercury in a very different way, but I'm heavily ruled by Mercury. I'm seeing this Mercury retrograde as a really like a blessing that's going to help us in just slowing down and kind of really looking at what our reality has become, because over the last few months things have been moving very quickly, and so it's been hard to really just pause and kind of look around. And yeah, it's funny, Mercury retrograde has already hit my Taurus friends. She's already had car issues out of nowhere. And so just keep in mind, if you're not slowing down right now and stabilizing your energy, the universe will come through and have us slow down and stabilize our energy. So, what else do we have going on? So, another big aspect that we have happening at the time of this new moon, and again, this is going to be an energy that's kind of going to be rippling throughout the duration of Mercury retrograde, is that, well, first of all, we're going to have Mars, again, the ruler of this new moon. It is going to be in a sextile with Mercury and Uranus in Taurus. So Mars is going to be at 13 degrees of Cancer, and Mercury is at 15 degrees, and Uranus is at 17. So this is sextiles are activating energies, but we have to act on them in order for them to activate. We have to initiate, we have to take a chance in some way, we have to do something differently. And so whenever Uranus is involved, I like to lean into things like pattern disruptions. Pattern disruptions. How can I disrupt the patterns that I have in my life, like my routine? How can I shake things up? If energy is just feeling stale and like things are not moving in the way that I want them to be moving, and yeah, things just feel kind of stuck. And if you're experiencing this, ask yourself, how can I shake things up? Like, what can I do differently? Whether it could be so as simple as just wearing something differently, like wearing new clothes, going out to a different store, like just doing something new. Like, how can you shake things up in your own life in order to just bring in a fresh new energy? And so, with Uranus and Mercury, so this is kind of what's interesting, and it's going to be like a longer lasting sort of energy throughout the duration of Mercury retrograde, um, because Mercury is going to be returning back to this point of where it stations retrograde at 15 degrees and 37 minutes of Taurus, and it is going to leave its shadow and return back to this point May 31st. So at the end of May, Mercury is going to be in a conjunction with Uranus again. But this time, like later on, is when Mercury is actually going to be in an exact conjunction. Like leading up to Mercury retrograde, it's just going to be very close. They're going to be pretty close, but not an exact conjunction. And then Mercury will go backwards, and then it's going to finally be in a conjunction with Uranus at this point. It will be in June. And so what's interesting to me about this is that Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So Mercury is the mind, and Uranus is kind of like this. So if Mercury is the mind, Uranus is like all of this information that is flowing all around us that our nervous system picks up on and receives this information. And so, but then our mind, it's like the conscious mind, it's sifting through it, it's labeling things, it's, so Uranus is kind of like the energy of just information before it reaches the mind and we put labels on it and we judge it and do all of that stuff. So it's a very genius type of energy. And there's a lot of information that can be picked up on when Mercury and Uranus are in some sort of aspect. And when I say information, so kind of like, when it's like when people around the world pick up on the download or whatever of a certain thing that they want to create an invention of, like people all around the world, different parts of the world, get these same intuitive hits at the same time of something that they want to create. That is like a blast of Uranus energy kind of coming through. And so in order to be receiving all of this very genius, very forward thinking, futuristic, just innovative and efficient energy, because Uranus is great for shifting our energy in a way that welcomes in more efficiency and innovation in our lives. But so we want to be grounding. Again, going into the sign of Taurus, Mercury, Uranus, and Taurus, there is so much information that we can pick up on right now, but we need to be sure that we are grounded and that our energy is stabilized so that we're able to pick up on this energy and not just receive it, but actually act on it, ground it into the world, ground it into our physical reality. So, this Mercury retrograde, this period of time, again, from April 21st until, I would really say the 5-week period of time from April 21st, when Mercury initially stations retrograde, all the way until it leaves its shadow and forms that conjunction with Uranus, like in June 1st, like the first few days of June. That's going to be a really powerful time of, there's just going to be so much information, like ideas, communication. There's going to be a lot flowing around that we're able to pick up on, like a lot of just great ideas, great communication, things that we want to be grounding into this physical reality. Like this can be a very beautiful time for creating beautiful things in our lives, creating beautiful things with the resources that we have. There's a very resourcefulness kind of energy just within this whole chart. And I guess resourcefulness and regeneration, they kind of go along, because it's using something that we've had that we might have put aside and ignored for a while and having a new use for it so that we can use it again. And so that, yeah. But in order to be, picking up on all of this energy, all of this just information flowing all around us, we want to make sure we're grounded. So connecting with earth and also assisting our nervous system. This is definitely an energy and kind of also going into that fixed cross that we are going to be moving into May 20th. Um, and then also when Pluto squares the nodes in July. And at that point, Venus is going to be retrograde in the sign of Leo. And so it's like there's a lot that's going to be just shifting in our environment, and our nervous system, it's picking up on all of these new changes. I mean, it picks up on everything, but it's like hyper aware of all of these changes that are happening around us, our nervous system. And so it can get kind of like just overreactive. And it's also like it's just like shocking. And especially when you look at the like Pluto and Aquarius square the sun and the moon in Aries, this eclipse in Aries, that's like this fiery, like that's like electrical fires. And so, and I say that in the way of like electrical fires within our body. Like it's like so many things can be just firing within us. And I mean, Pluto and Aquarius, that really is bringing this big energetic, this big shift to our DNA. And so, yeah, like definitely assisting our nervous system, like being really aware of our nervous system and how it's feeling. Like, are we feeling just like, because then that's going to get us into the fight, flight, and freeze sort of, when when our adrenals, what is that called? When yeah, fight, flight, what is that called? It's when our body when we're in that state of fight, flight, and freeze, whatever it is, I can't think of the word right now, but when we're in that state, when that state is happening within our body longer than it's supposed to, because that was a natural system that our body, I mean, it's a natural system within our body that initially was meant to help us survive the threats within our environment when we were, evolving in this world. But so now it's like we have all of these other threats, whether it's just bad conversations with people, problems at work, just crazy rush hour traffic, like drivers, it's like all of these things in our environment that kind of get us on edge and that make our body stay in a state of fight, flight, or freeze for longer periods of time than it's meant to. And then at that point, that's when our body is literally attacking itself. And so when our body is attacking itself because of all of these crazy hormones and like electrical firings that's happening within our nervous system, our body is not able to regenerate and it's not able to naturally heal. And yes. So really pay attention to what your nervous system needs right now, and you will know on an instinctual level. So trust yourself. I mean, and it's always flowing. There's going to be different things at different times that can help us. At times, I mean, for me right now, what's helping my nervous system is literally laying on the ground for like at least like an hour or plus a day and just having my energy stabilize the earth, just pulling out all of the energetic debris that I have in my energy field and also just helping the things within me stabilize. So always herbs are great. My favorite herbs for assisting the nervous system to big changes that are happening, adaptogens. So adaptogens being like reishi, all of the mushrooms are great, especially because you look at how mushrooms communicate. It's like they communicate within this neural network that we can't see beneath the earth. And so it's like they assist our body in repairing the neural network within ourselves. So like any kinds of mushrooms, like medicinal sort of mushrooms, like cordyceps, lion's mane, um, and then also like ashwagandha is great. Whatever sort of adaptogens like maca, whatever you might be drawn to. Wild blueberries are a great adaptogen. Um, like blue lotus is an adaptogen. And then also nervines. So these are groups of herbs that can help our body with repairing and stabilizing the nervous system. So it's like they can repair all of the neural networks. Adaptogens just somehow know exactly it's whatever our body needs, like some sort of ancient technology that knows what we need, where we need it, when we need it. And then with the nervines, they help rebuild the nervous systems, like the neural networks, the neural pathways within our body. And they help us like rest, regenerate, recover. And so things like lavender, lemon balm, chamomile, um, lemon verbena, just whatever you're drawn to, look into it if this is something that's like piquing your interest right now. Yeah, so pay attention to what your body needs, what your nervous system is needing as we're going through these shifts, because a lot's going to be changing. And whenever there's big changes, our nervous system's going to be on edge, and we're going to need to calm it and stabilize it so that we're able to go through these shifts in a state of just really being in our power, being grounded, and being able to flow instead of fighting. Because when you look at when our nervous system is kind of out of whack, like the systems within our body are fighting themselves. And so we really want to be figuring out how we can stabilize and calm our energy and ground our energy, because so much is going to be transforming and changing in the world around us. Like these charts for the next really into the summer. And I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of big shifts of energy in the fall too, but I haven't looked into the fall as much as I have from like spring into the summer. There's going to be a lot of big life shifts happening. And I think the whole world, like it's going to at times just feel so unstable. And like there's just like the timelines are just like I at one point I was seeing them as like very wobbly, kind of like a bridge. Um like like those rope wooden bridges just like moving, and then we're trying to like get onto the timeline. But like what I'm seeing it as now is like it's glitching. There's like 1 second you're seeing a timeline over here, and then it's like appearing out of the ethers, and it's like it's wild. And so yeah, we really want to be paying attention to what our body needs when we need it, um, and having, again, like quality control, boundaries, protecting our energy. Um, and so, yes, I think that's about everything. I know that was a lot, and that was kind of um, all over the place, like a lot of different areas, but it's really hard to just talk about this eclipse and not factor in all of these other energies that are happening as well. Oh, okay. There is actually one more thing that I want to talk about, because this is helping us in a lot of ways. And this is going to be a longer lasting energy. And so, we are also we've been in this aspect for a good period of time now, for a good couple weeks, where I think it was exact actually on April 14th, or maybe that was just when Venus, it doesn't matter, we're in it now, and it's going to be lasting for several weeks, um, into, I mean, throughout April. um, well, I guess April's like almost over, but it's going to be a longer lasting energy. So we have Saturn at the time of this eclipse at 4 degrees of Pisces. And so Saturn is in a harmonious and activating aspects with the nodes. It is in a trine, a water trine with the South node in Scorpio, and a sextile with the North node in Taurus. And it was this aspect that initially got me to start hearing like quality control and like boundaries, and just really being aware of the exchange of energy, the flow of energy that we have going on in our lives. And so also, we want to be aware of where we are giving our power away, whether it's like addictions or distractions, or feeding into those heavy emotions within ourselves that are keeping us trapped in cycles of the past. Because Saturn and Pluto, they're both so karmic. And so that's why this period of time, like we've got Saturn and Pluto making these big moves. Pluto is kind of doing it in a way that's like really shaking things up and really making it uncomfortable. And Saturn is assisting us in stabilizing and grounding and really just bringing in this positive change. But with Saturn, anytime you're working with Saturn, you want to have structure, you want to have discipline, stability, routine. And really, it can really assist us in embodying more of our authority, but we have to be, again, not feeding into our karma, our patterns, our cycles, the detrimental just belief systems that we have in our lives. Or just, we really want to be hyper focused and hyper aware of the way of our operating system right now, because this is essentially what is getting a reboot, but it's an opportunity. It's not just gonna, I mean, it's kind of rebooting itself, but we want to be sure that we're like clearing out all of the old data, all of the old memories, all of the old just like heavy, just like stuff that's keeping us bound to just the old version that we want to be moving away from. Like, this is an opportunity to be yeah, rebooting our operating system, like updating our operating system. um but we have to take action towards that. We have to act differently. We have to make choices throughout our day in a way that is embodying the person that we want to be moving into, and not the person that we want to be moving away from. So that's what this big this activation is with Saturn. Well, it goes so deep. This is a really big reboot and reconfigure and restructure. Um, and with Saturn in Pisces and the South Node in Scorpio, like that is very deep emotional encoding, very deep like ancestral karma, curses, like spells like that we have been bound into, just like um things, yeah, things that we believe are like that we tell ourselves are true and that's not even true, and we feel it on an emotional level. And then this kind of goes into the energy of helping our body with moving out this old stagnant energy so that we can be moving into something new. With this activation that Saturn is making with the nodes, this is really assisting us in creating stability and foundation in our lives in the areas where we want to be building. um but it's a longer lasting energy. But also, like with Saturn and Pisces, this is just such a beautiful strange dynamic of moving in between the realms of reality and our dreams in order to really actualize what we want to have experience, like what we want to experience in our lives. Um and then with that sextile to the North Node in Taurus, it's like really taking a chance on the future that you want to have, like really taking a chance on the version of yourself that you want to be and building upon that. And then going back into the quality control kind of thing, like really looking around in our lives and understanding what has like cracks in the foundation, or what's just like castles made of sand, because we don't want to be building with sand right now, because that's really not going to be assisting this like glitchy timeline reality sort of situation that we're already in. Like, really, yeah, stabilizing our energy and stabilizing the things that we want to have in our lives, through creating space for routine and discipline and structure, like doing something, creating space throughout our day where we are able to build upon long term what we want in our lives. Um, and then yeah, so I think that's about everything now. Whoa, where did that accent come from? The southern accent. Um, okay, one more thing. Well, I think it's interesting that um no, I'll just leave it. We'll save that conversation for another day because this video has already been kind of long. But anyways, so yeah, this is a really powerful time to be regenerating. So what in your life do you want to regenerate? Um, what do you want to transform? What do you want to change? Things are going to be transforming and changing whether we want them to or not. And so we really just need to loosen our grip and just surrender, focus on what we can control, and just release the rest. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Um, And yeah, if you're interested again in booking a reading with me, you can find my information in the link below. So thank you so much, and we will talk next time. Bye.